Namaskar. Welcome to the session on cruise tourism. Dear students, in today's episode, we will discuss about cruise tourism. For the better understanding, the program has been divided into 5 parts such as Introduction to Cruise Tourism, History and Development of Cruise Tourism, Types of Cruising, Important Cruise Tourism Routes, Destinations in the World, and Cruise Tourism in India. Cruise tourism. A cruise ship is a passenger ship used for pleasure voyages. Where cruise tourism is a luxurious form of traveling involving an all-inclusive holiday on a cruise ship of at least 48 hours according to specific itinerary in which the cruise ship calls at several ports or cities. A cruise ship takes passengers to a destination, but some cruise ships are a destination in themselves. These mega ships from companies like Disney, Royal Caribbean, Carnival Cruises, Norwegian Cruise Lines and AIDA Cruises are targeting a younger audience, boasting plenty of entertainment such as spectacular theatre shows complete with fireworks. On board, you will find tropical swimming paradises, mega theatres and ice skating rinks, for instance. The 3 key players in the international cruise industry are Carnival Cruise Lines, Royal Caribbean International and Norwegian Cruise Lines. Coming to the history and development of cruise tourism. Cruise ships are destinations in themselves with features and amenities comparable or superior to land-based resorts. Cruising is remarkably affordable and one can enjoy his or her dream vacations. Cruise tourism made its small beginnings in 1839 as part of the fortnightly crossing mail service between Liverpool and Boston. Travelling by sea was nothing new, but it was not exactly speedy. Thomas Newcomen changed that in 1712 when he invented the steam engine, a revolutionary way to harness kinetic energy and convert it into power. As the steam engine evolved, so did its uses, until in 1819 the first American ship aided by a steam engine crossed the Atlantic. The SS Savannah left from the United States city bearing its name on May 22, 1819 and arrived in Liverpool, England 29 days later. While the Savannah only used its steam engine for approximately 85 hours, that is roughly 12% of the trip, the voyage made history and the era of the steamship began. The passenger ship industry flourished in the late 1800s and early 1900s courtesy of the steam engine and of the growing number of American immigrants crowding ocean liners. Transatlantic passage was still primarily one-way, although affluent passengers travelled back and forth between England and New York for business or holiday. The popularity of transatlantic sea passage gradually declined with the arrival of the airplane. People could fly to more destinations in a fraction of the time it took on an ocean liner, so shipping companies changed their business model to focus on tourism instead of passenger transportation. In 1900, the American Hamburg Company built the first ship specifically designed for cruises. The Prinzenen Victoria Lewis measured 406 feet, that is 124 meters long, and 52 feet, that is 16 meters wide, and was 4,409 gross tons. In nautical terms, a ton, typically called a gross register ton or gross ton, does not measure weight. It represents 100 cubic feet of internal capacity. By the early 20th century, the concept of the superliner was developed and Germany led the market in the development of these massive and ornate floating hotels. The design of these liners attempted to minimize the discomfort of ocean travel, masking the fact of being at sea and the extremes in weather as much as possible through elegant accommodations and planned activities. The Mauritiana and the Louisiana, owned by the Cunard Line of England, started the tradition of dressing for dinner and advertised the romance of the voyage. Speed was still the deciding factor in the design of these ships. There was no space for large public rooms, and passengers were required to share the dining tables. The White Star Line, owned by American financier J.P. Morgan, introduced the most luxurious passenger ships ever seen in the Olympic, complete with swimming pool and tennis court, and Titanic. Space and passenger comfort now took precedence over speed in the design of these ships, resulting in larger, more stable liners. The sinking of the Titanic on its maiden voyage in 1912 devastated the White Star Line. World War I interrupted the building of new cruise ships, and many older liners were used as troop transports. German superliners were given to both Great Britain and the United States as reparations at the end of the war. The years between 1920 and 1940 were considered the most glamorous years for transatlantic passenger ships. These ships catered to the rich and famous who were seen enjoying luxurious settings on numerous newsreels viewed by the general public. American tourists interested in visiting Europe replaced immigrant passengers. Advertisements promoted the fashion of ocean travel, featuring the elegant food and onboard activities. The 1960s witnessed the beginning of the modern cruise industry. Cruise ship companies concentrated on vacation trips in the Caribbean and created a fun ship image which attracted many passengers who would never had the opportunity to travel on the superliners of the 1930s and 1940s. Cruise ships concentrated on creating a casual environment and providing extensive onboard entertainment. There was a decrease in the role of ships for transporting people to a particular destination. Rather, the emphasis was on the voyage itself. Now next, coming to types of cruises. The rapid growth and specialization process experienced by the cruise industry in the last decades has also affected the design and general aesthetics, materials, size and overall onboard functionalities, equipment and amenities of modern cruise ships and recreational vessels to satisfy a clientele more and more numerous and sensitive to quality, who demands the most diversified services with assurance of satisfaction and excellence, while providing solutions to the growing concerns about the cruise industry's environmental impact on marine and coastal communities and ecosystems. Nowadays, every continent and region on Earth can be visited on board a cruise or recreational ship, including the most exotic, faraway places and secluded destinations. Now, we will discuss the different types of vessels and ships designed to provide cruise and excursion services in seas, oceans, rivers and lakes all around the world. Mega cruise ship. Cruise companies have answered the increasing world demand for this kind of services with the design and building of ever bigger cruise ships able to accommodate more than 3,000 persons. Mega ships are a new class of cruise vessel and the next step in terms of capacity and onboard services, with some units that routinely serve more than 5,000 passengers, currently the largest and more sophisticated vessels in the world. Mainstream cruise ship. It is the most common and popularly known type cruise ship, marketed by most of the companies in the sector as floating resorts designed and equipped to suit the needs of the majority of cruise passengers. These vessels have a capacity of 850 to 3,000 passengers and include all sorts of standard resort features, amenities and services such as restaurants, bars and pubs, nightclubs and discos, shopping areas, theatres and cinemas, galleries and museums, libraries, casinos, personal care areas with gyms and spas, swimming pools and other sport facilities. Ocean cruise ship. A type of cruise ship built to more exacting standards than more conventional vessels, with substantially more solid designs and more resistant structures to withstand the especially harsh conditions of ocean voyages in long and world cruises. Luxury cruise ship. Motor or sail powered cruise ships equipped with the most sophisticated and technologically advanced nautical systems, high standard features and luxurious comforts to meet the special demands of an exclusive clientele looking for longer itineraries and more exotic destinations around the world. Small cruise ship. Cruise ships ranging from motor or sail-powered yacht-like vessels to medium-sized classic cruise ships with a capacity of up to few hundred passengers on board, offering more ultimate and relaxing experiences than the larger mass-market vessels in less familiar destinations designed to provide specific service or as the only way to navigate through waters, small inlets, ports or archipelagos that would not support larger vessels, providing the same level of comfort and the basic amenities as that of mainstream cruise vessels. Expedition cruise ship. Specially designed ships or adapted research or icebreaker vessels operated by specialized companies to offer their customers an exclusive experience in remote destinations and waterways such as the Arctic and Antarctic regions or coastal areas in ecological and biosphere reserves in what can be seen more than private expeditions than conventional cruises on board vessels with an adequate level of comfort, safety and services, which include inflatable motorboats and sometimes even helicopters for expedition trips and shore landings. River cruise ship. Always smaller than seagoing cruise ships and with a capacity for no more than a few hundred passengers, these vessels are specially designed to navigate rivers and inland waterways, offering from exciting experiences on board ultra high-tech units to nostalgic trips on paddle boat ships in rivers such as Amazon, Nile, Rhine, Seine, Volga, Mississippi, Yangtze and many more in all over the world. Some of the famous cruise ships are Allure of the Seas, Norwegian Getaway, Anthem of the Seas, Carnival Breeze, Oasis of the Seas, Carnival Sunshine, Celebrity Reflection, Disney Dream and so on. Important cruise tourism routes and destinations. In the early 1900s, cruise tourism was mostly an elite privilege. After World War II, commercial passenger aviation became more widespread and more people came to prefer air travel. In the second half of the 20th century, cruise travel became popular, mostly with well-to-do senior holiday makers, and for this generation, a cruise holiday was the symbol of classiness and a luxurious lifestyle. Over the past few years, cruise line routes have seen a further diversification as well as global expansion. However, the Caribbean, Alaska and Europe, that is Mediterranean, continue to be the predominant destination areas. Due to the strong growth, there is now a greater choice of worldwide cruise destinations and the number of transatlantic routes is on the increase too. The most important region for cruises is North America, accounting for some 70% of all cruises, in which the Caribbean is the most popular destination. Europe follows at a distance with 13%. Most European routes are undertaken in the Mediterranean, but the fastest growing segment is made up of cruises in the Baltic Sea. As the demand increases, the regular cruise routes, that is North America, are becoming increasingly crowded, prompting cruise companies to look for new destinations. The cruise industry is the most important growth sector in the entire tourism market. The market is still growing despite the global economic crisis. North America is the primary market for cruise activities. Although this market is the most mature one, with the United States accounting for 11.21 million cruise passengers in 2014 out of 22.4 million in total cruise passengers of the world. It is showing signs of saturation. Nevertheless, there is still enormous potential to be found in the worldwide cruise market. The European cruise sector is number 2 and represents 11.07% of the fastest growing market. The biggest European player is Great Britain, which accounts for 1.61 million cruise passengers. The share of the Netherlands is still relatively small, although major cruise ports like Rotterdam and Amsterdam are gaining ever better positions strategically. Currently, the most popular cruise destinations are the Caribbean and the Bahamas, Mediterranean, Atlantic Islands and Northern Europe. Port Miami, the cruise capital of the world, continues to expand as the world's leading cruise port. In 2015, Port Miami processed nearly 4.9 million multi-day passengers, more than any other port in the world. Port Miami can accommodate 42 cruise ships with most modern facilities to the passengers. The Asia-Pacific region continues to remain a rare destination region for cruise tourism. The volume of cruise tourists is constantly increasing over the years and therefore cruise lines need destinations in new regions. As a study made by Cruise Lines International Association, that is CLIA, founded in 1975, there were 448 cruise ships in 2015, which served 23.2 million cruise tourists. It has been estimated that in 2016, 24 million cruise passengers may create 9,39,232 jobs around the world with an economic impact of $119.9 billion. CLIA, founded in 1975, and the organization is involved in industry issues relating to safety, public health responsibility for the environment, medical facilities, protection of passengers, and legislative activities. Its mission is to promote policies and practices that foster safe, secure, and healthy cruise ship environment. Now moving on to cruise tourism in India. The potential of the tourism sector to stimulate economic and social development, thereby transforming economies, has been internationally acknowledged. Tourism has been placed on a priority platform in India, with the governments at the centre and the states making directed efforts to exploit the tourism resources offered at the national and local level. However, in exploring avenues for consolidating the tourism strengths of the country, it would be vital that India be sensitive to global developments and demands, responsive to changing international trends and tourist perceptions. Cruise tourism represents one such avenue where far-reaching developments have been witnessed worldwide, with India having no claim to even a marginal positioning. In 2002, North America, which forms around 71% of the international cruise demand, had 7.64 million cruise travelers, while the same period saw only 0.012 million cruise tourists in India, representing less than 0.16%. It is thus clear that despite its position on the South Pacific International Sea Route, an impressive 7,516-kilometer coastline, several natural ports and breathtaking destinations, India has continued to miss out on the cruise tourism potential. It is in realization of this that the Ministry of Tourism has initiated a study of the market and potential for cruise tourism in India, with the objective of evolving strategies towards an effective exploitation of its global possibilities. Conclusion. Cruise tourism has come to be regarded as marine resorts, and companies with traditionally marketed landlocked resorts, which has come to complicate the relationship between cruise lines and destinations. Cruise tourism now encompasses a wide range of activities for travelers in addition to its traditional function of providing transport and accommodation. Intercontinental and long-distance cruises are now supplied with a variety of facilities and amenities commonly made available at resort destinations, making sea travel much more enjoyable and comfortable for travelers. The enormous scale of today's cruise ships, along with the range of onboard activities and amenities, expands parameters for what defines a resort experience. More and more people are discovering and acknowledging the advantages of cruise holidays over land-based holidays. The industry is responding to this situation with an ever wider supply, ranging from trips along the Norwegian fjords to cruises in the Caribbean. An increasing number of new cruise destinations are emerging. Thank you.